Today on the podcast, we are going to have some special guests from the product side of tech, Asha and Leon, and we're going to be talking about Camp SEEK, what it is, why SEEK does it, why we love being a part of it. Stick around to find out more. Welcome back to another episode of SEEK Bytes. I'm Elliot Miller, one of your regular loudmouths here, and today I'm joined by two wonderful human beings whose names I'm going to absolutely butcher, but I'm going to go for it. We've got Leon Belobrov.
Well done. You did good.
And Asha Ioculari. So close.
That was such a good effort. The way I say it is Ioculari. So Italian alphabet doesn't have a Y in it, so the I-O is like a Y. A friend of mine used to say, what do you do it when you've got like a rhyming thing to help you remember how to say it? It would be like, remember to lock the Ferrari. And I was like, yes, my Ferrari, Asha Ioculari.
Ioculari needs to lock her Ferrari. Good to know.
All right. That's got to be.
I'm going to try and lock that one in.
I'm sure there's got to be some kind of dad joke.
There's got to be a dad joke in there.
2026.
All right, so I've been joined by these wonderful two human beings to talk about something that I think we're all pretty passionate about, which is Camp SEEK. So that's what we're going to be chatting about today. So Asha, do you want to give us a little intro about yourself, and then Leon can tell us about himself? It's great to have him back, and then we can talk about what Camp SEEK is.
So what do I do here? What is my day job? My job title is Senior Product Manager. I've been working at SEEK for just over 4 years now, and my first Camp SEEK was, we were just talking about, was just a few months after I started. A great introduction to what SEEK is all about, I think. Yeah,
I've had the privilege of working with Asha on Camp SEEK for, it's going to be our 5th year, which is really, really amazing. So I've been at SEEK, I hit 7 years in March this year, so I hit my long service, which is really exciting.
Ooh, long service.
But yeah, I've been at SEEK for 7 years. Also in product, so I'm a principal product manager, and at the moment I look after a product called SEEK Grad, which is our grad marketplace, which is a separate platform, separate to SEEK, but good connection between SEEK Grad and Camp SEEK, because it's all about focusing on that youth segment and giving them the best opportunities to succeed in their future careers.
That's awesome.
So nice that your day job now has, I think, something of a connection to what we do at Camp SEEK.
Yeah. It was when this role kind of came about, it was very much aligned to my passion of energizing, creating opportunities for the youth segment. It's an area that I've always been really passionate about, and now I can both get paid for it and volunteer for it.
Mate, that's great. That is super exciting. I think that's living the dream right there is, and I think that our generation, I'm going to say, even though I know I'm old, it kind of has that privilege.
What generation?
I mean, I'm considered a millennial, so it's like I was born in the 90s.
There are clearly decades between us.
You're born in the 90s, mate. I'm older than you.
Yeah, I know. I mean, but like it's like 85 to 2000 now or something.
Yeah, I think
millennial
roughly
goes
85
to or Gen X, but we're not Gen X anymore. Now we're just millennial. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll go with that, I guess. Anyway, I feel like that generation kind of onwards has the privilege of being able to pick what we want to do that we're passionate about, as opposed to just, you need to get a job, you need to go into the grinder of the capitalist machine. So hearing someone who's found a role that aligns with their passion is just awesome. So I love that.
So I just want to go maybe a little off topic, but on topic. Just want to touch on this Japanese concept called ikigai, and I hope I've pronounced it correctly. Now, ikigai is a concept that means a reason for being, and it's based on 4 key components that overlap. So firstly, it's passion, which is what you love doing. Secondly, it's mission, what the world needs. Third, it's vocation, what you could be paid for. And finally, it's profession, what you're good at. And so if you can find yourself kind of at the overlap between those 4 elements of the Venn diagram, you found your ikigai. And I'm very fortunate to have found my ikigai at SEEK.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've never heard of that before, but I like that. So thank you so much for introducing yourself. So what is Camp SEEK?
That's a really good question. So Camp SEEK is a 4-day immersive learning program that we run here at SEEK, usually in September in the school holidays. so that a very special cohort of people can join, and they are high school students. So we invite girls and non-binary students, usually around the ages of 14 and 16, into the office for those 4 days. I guess run it like a little bit of a holiday program from their perspective. And from our perspective, it probably looks a lot like a hackathon or maybe a design sprint, where we take them through what it would be like, working at SEEK, introduce them to the different kinds of roles that we have at a company like SEEK, and give them a taste of what it's like to work in tech that they may not have had an opportunity to do because, maybe they don't have friends, family who work in this industry, or maybe they don't realise the kinds of jobs that are available, because even people who do work in the industry aren't always really across the kind of breadth and depth of roles in tech.
And those roles are kind of changing all the time, right? With, new businesses popping up and new technologies and other things. So I imagine even if you're trying to be across it, it does change pretty.
Exactly. I mean, we have to keep up with it now. I think that's been a big part of Camp SEEK for us, particularly over the last couple of years, with the changes that are going on. I think we'd nailed the program. We were like 4-day design sprint with a little dash of hackathon at the end. And then it was like, wait, roles are changing. They're changing not on a decade basis, on a yearly basis, on a monthly basis, the nature of what we do here, and gosh, what these young people will be doing when they enter the workforce. So that's actually been a really fun part of Camp SEEK for the volunteers who get to work on it like us, where we have to kind of go, well, what does a week look like at SEEK? What do our jobs look like if we had to kind of condense that into 4 days to give people a taste of it?
And I think one of the there's probably two points to add is, so firstly, Camp SEEK was started from a hack at SEEK. So SEEK runs, I think, a hackathon twice a year, and about back in 2014 or 2015, I don't have the exact date. SEEK allows you to basically do the hackathon on any problem you think is worthwhile. And back 10 years ago, a group of seekers kind of thought, well, we've got this problem of underrepresented women in tech. So how do we solve that? And so they came up with this concept of Camp SEEK. And so over the last 10 years, it's continued to evolve, with a significant pause during COVID, which I think it was tried to be done over Zoom, but failed miserably. But then it was revitalized, and now we've got, last 2 years, we've had 100 students both years. So I'd say we've probably had upwards of probably 400, 500 students come through. Two things to note, it's a free program that SEEK runs. We do it because SEEK as an organisation is incredibly purpose-driven, and we believe that we have a part to play in improving the diversity of females and non-binary people in the tech space. And so we are really passionate about that. And so it's a free program for these students, and it's a volunteer-run program. There's probably a couple of people in the organisation who are responsible, which is part of their day jobs, to run Camp SEEK. But the rest of the people that do it, Elliot, Asha, myself, 90, 100 other volunteers that come through that take 4 days out of their 4 full pretty deep days out of their work weeks to really educate and upskill these students. And we have, the best product managers in the industry come and talk to students about product thinking. We have the best researchers come and talk about how do you run user research. We have the best marketers come and talk to the students about how do you pitch your solution to the audience. And so it's a really amazing initiative that benefits both the students, but I know me personally, it's like the amount of kind of fulfillment you get from this is incredibly valuable. And I think for SEEK in itself, it's become probably the number one event that people want to be part of within the organisation.
I have heard it's the number one volunteering gig. I feel like it is the most in-demand volunteering role at SEEK, which feels pretty amazing. And it's an incredible thing to be a part of. So rightly so.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of amazing that a tech company would be doing this, but it's almost a 4-day conference, right? That would kind of have value just to the staff. Like it's like you've joined SEEK and it's like, what do we do at SEEK? It's like all these things, we talk about like the double diamond and designing for the customer and doing user research and all these other things. And I do recall being at watching some of the speakers come out in previous years and just kind of sitting there and I'm like, man, I should be taking notes. This is great stuff. Like
I have heard that feedback from volunteers. I guess a bit like hackathons here at SEEK where, part of it is the opportunity to work with people who you don't normally work with and to be able to work with roles and, or taking on a role yourself that you wouldn't normally get a chance to do in your day-to-day. Camp SEEK, volunteers, you're exposed to lots of other people from different parts of the business and obviously the program itself. So I think that's also part of the appeal as well, is that everyone learns something, not to mention from the students themselves. Because if, you've met a teenager recently, there's a lot they can teach you, especially when it comes to the digital world. So there's enough that they teach us that frankly, I think I've come away learning more sometimes.
It is pretty insane looking at the progression of tech over the last 4 years. I think I've been involved in Camp SEEK for 3 or 4 years. And I recall the first year we were extremely ambitious when we tried to get them set up doing mobile development. Because this is a great idea. Yeah, they can use this technology. And then we kind of forgot about the logistics of it's like there's near 100 devices here that need to have, Android Studio installed. And we're like, the amount of students who install this thing and start making a mobile app, and some of the students did have prototypes on their mobile phones.
Quite a few did,
which is crazy.
And I think something really beautiful that came out of those kind of few years where I think we encounter challenges every year, but I think the students can probably see that when we encounter challenges and we're like, well, we don't just throw our arms up in the air. It's like, oh, this is done. We're done. Like Camp SEEK's over. So we can't fundamentally as Asha and I, we're problem solvers in our day job. We're like, all right, this is we're struggling here. What do we do? Okay, how can we fix this? Can we, how do we pivot onto something that can enable the students to do what they want to do? And maybe it doesn't have to be a full-fledged product. Maybe they can build a prototype, whatever is the case. And the fact that the students see us kind of thinking through things on the fly, working out a solution, and then implementing it for the students, I think they also take quite a bit of learning from that.
Yeah, the program's a bit meta in that way. Really try to demonstrate that the program itself is us demonstrating what it's like to work at SEEK. At the end of each day, we collect retro feedback and we tell them we have our own little retro. We get their feedback about how things are going, and then we demonstrate the next morning. Okay, we've taken that feedback on board. Here's what we're going to be doing a little bit differently. And it's not just small things. It's big things: room configuration, noise and levels, temperature, activities, really structural things.
Snacks.
Oh, I mean,
food.
There's often a lot of feedback about the snacks. We do keep them pretty well fed and watered. That's also another appeal of volunteering. But yeah, it's trying to demonstrate that the program itself is like we are all just working professionals. This is a good representation of who works at SEEK. It's people from all walks of life and backgrounds. They look and sound some like you, many different. And we put our heads together and we figure out problems and we have fun doing it. And we're respectful and inclusive. And sometimes some of us get a chance to demonstrate our strength. Other times, some of us are having a harder time and feeling pressure and stress, and others go in to support them. And trying to actually demonstrate that behaviour for young people is also, you don't necessarily put it on the label of Camp SEEK, but it's a big part of kind of the lifeblood of it, I think, and what makes it a special experience for them.
I think it's worthwhile just articulating the process that we go through with the students over the 4 days. The first day, we've got, over the last 2 years, we've got 100 students. Some know someone else, some that maybe they've come from the same school. A lot don't. And so we usually have 10 tables of 10 students. Icebreaker activity must be done, just get everyone comfortable, get everyone moving. We go through an overview of kind of like the program, and then we really go straight into the first thing, which is explaining what the double diamond methodology is, the design thinking methodology is. And then the way that we kind of go through the hackathon or the program is we'll teach them about something and then we'll get them to implement it. It's not a 4-day lecture, and then at the end of the 4 days, it's like go and build it. It's like that we would lose their attention in half a day, if not less. And so we'll do user research. We'll teach them about user research, and then they'll go and do user research with other camp seekers in the office. Then they'll go and synthesize the user research into some key insights, identify the problem. So we'll have our product managers come and talk about how do you synthesize, how do you identify the main problem to solve. Once they've got that main problem, we teach them how to do ideation, and so really rapid, kind of just really brainstorming. No idea is a bad idea. Go really, really wide with the ideation. And then once they've kind of got some ideas, they narrow it down to a particular solution they want to try and solve. They go and prototype that solution, and then once they've got the solution narrowed down, they start building out that solution. Last year we used Lovable. We can talk about that a little bit later. And when we've got different people within the groups of 10 doing different tasks. So we've got someone that's doing the design, someone that's doing the engineering, someone that's doing the building out the pitch, someone that's actually just running the team. Okay, someone coordinating who's doing what, keeping everyone accountable. And so over the 4 days, we kind of go through this double diamond principle, teaching them, letting them execute on what they've just learned, to then on the final day where they have the ability to come out and pitch their concept of what they've built to an audience of, I don't know, maybe 100, 200 people.
Oh, yeah, definitely 200 plus, yeah.
Of family, friends, seekers, and an esteemed judging panel of senior SEEK executives, which is like, please, if I would do it, I'd be, very incredibly nervous.
The Shark Tanks and stuff we have for the SEEK hackathons, I think are pretty nerve-wracking, and you've got adults who it's like, this is literally their day job to present to people, and I think they'd be nervous. So the idea that you've got, a group of potentially 10 teenage students sitting up before, CTOs and heads of product and directors of whatever, it's like, it's some pretty good networking, really, some pretty big exposure to names, right? Just like getting in when they're young.
And look, and there are some game players out there. There are some young people who are years beyond their years in terms of networking, and already handing out business cards, as it were. And yeah, I can definitely see us working for them in the future.
Yeah, we usually get a few students come up to us like, well, so what's the next steps after this? How do we get a gig at this workplace?
There's a lot in there, but if I was trying to distill it down to kind of like the core of why we do it, it sounds like what we're hoping to do is increase the diversity in the tech workspace.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that, as Leon mentioned, it started, from that idea of there's an underrepresentation of women in tech. What can we do about that? Start building the pipeline out earlier. And I think the program has evolved. It's very intersectional. We consider inclusivity from a perspective of obviously not just girls, but non-binary youth. We also consider things like neurodivergence. Mental health is so important throughout the week, and we've been making special efforts to connect with students from schools who wouldn't normally come to a program like Camp SEEK. We did notice that, maybe in early years, partly because it was a little bit of a family and friends of SEEK event, that a lot of the students were coming from, relatively resourced private schools, which is fantastic. That's fine. But making sure that we're reaching students who wouldn't normally be in the kind of social circles to hear about, or professional circles to hear about a program like Camp SEEK. So schools that are more remote or rural or less resourced, and bring those students into the fold. And that's also part of the experience for the students as well, is that they all get to meet each other and work with each other, again, demonstrating what it's like to work at an inclusive, diverse workforce, and see that there are roles in tech that aren't just straight coding. No offense to the software engineers on a software engineer podcast, but it can be quite intimidating to think, well, I'd love to work in tech. That's a growing field, but all I'm thinking of is matrix screens, green on black, lines of code. You know, I did a web development course. That was great a million years ago, but I don't think I'd want to do that all day long. But I love to work with tech. I love to work with engineers. And that is the kind of thing that it is hard to explain to young people, that there are roles, you know, they can see jobs as being quite, you know, black and white, quite linear. You're a teacher, you're a nurse, you're a police officer, you're a coder. You can work in tech and you can have that be 10% of your job, 100% of your job, or kind of none of it, but you have to understand it and work with it and understand how it can be enhanced or things to watch out for. You could work in security or marketing, can work in, you know, design, research, analytics. I feel like that's, you know, the kind of thing that we open people's minds to.
Yeah, and I think because of the fact that we then take them through that double diamond process, the software engineering part is just like the end of it. I mean, software engineers are involved from the start, but there are so many areas of, like I was saying before, user research, synthesis, ideation, design across the entire life cycle that they start to get exposed to those areas, and you quickly see students gravitating. You know, we have this concept at CamSeek of the 3Ds: a designer, developer, dreamer, and we talk about these concepts as kind of buckets of where you may want to gravitate to as we're going through this process. And you see students kind of naturally gravitate to one of the areas. You know, you see there's some students that they've already done software engineering before coming to CamSeek, and this is the area they're comfortable in. They go to the developer stream. And there's some students that are like, oh, you know, I love speaking in front of an audience. I love capturing people's imagination and attention. Okay, I'm going to be the dreamer. And then there's those that are, you know, and some of these students are just sketching the most incredible artwork. And they're like, oh, okay, I didn't realize I could be a designer in a tech business. Wow, that's awesome. So I can actually design something, how it looks, how it makes people feel. Oh, okay, great. And to Asha's point, you know, exposing the students early on to try and fix that gender diversity gap in the tech world, we've had significant success from it. Like from last year's CamSeek, we ran a survey post CamSeek, and I think the stats I've got here, 92% of students at CamSeek increased their interest in studying STEM subjects. So, you could be down the line when you're kind of reaching university age, you're like, oh, well, what do I want to do? But you have to have that knowledge early on in year 9 and 10 when you're starting to move into, is it still called VCE?
Choosing their subjects, you know, and
choosing their subjects where they want to kind of pursue their passions or pursue their interests. And so if we can kind of get that early pipeline of those subjects, maths, sciences and so forth, even marketing, whatever, like it doesn't matter. At least they know that their roles post their high school, post universities, doesn't have to be filtered into one area, but it can be just a lot more broadened, and we can kind of start to drive that pipeline into the tech space. That would be great. I personally see, besides that, I think you shared some stats around just the discrepancy of diversity in the workforce. I personally see, I've worked at ANZ, REA, now SEEK, all pretty kind of forward-thinking organisations, and tech organisations, and I still see the gender diversity gap there, be it in representation, or I've had experiences in terms of gender pay gap. And so I think if we can drive more exposure, drive more exposure, but 2, give them confidence that they can succeed in these fields is really, really important. We had a graduate software engineer grad, female software engineer grad, come and participate as part of CamSeek and volunteer as part of CamSeek, and just show that this is something you are capable of doing. You know, she came from really not knowing much about software engineering to becoming a, really successful engineer in the SEEK organisation, and she's gone on to do greater things post SEEK. So if we can continue to build that awareness and that pipeline, I think that will show the fruits of our labour in the years to come.
Yeah, if I can build on that as the woman in the room on the pod today, that What I like about Camp SEEK is that, the reasons that it started is we were aware of that discrepancy and we've seen it. In my career, I've experienced it. Like there's rare that I've worked at an organisation or in a team where I'm not outnumbered in terms of I feel like the odd one out. I've had some negative experiences related to that, many, many more incredibly positive ones, especially as I've progressed in my career. But it can be tough being a woman in tech sometimes. And we're trying to kind of right the balance from many perspectives so that people can see themselves represented, work in inclusive and diverse workplaces, which benefits everybody, even if you were previously the kind of majority in that kind of organisation. Everyone is happier. But also thinking about, in terms of the framing for Camp SEEK, when we welcome these young people into SEEK, we don't start by saying, here are all of the problems with tech. Come on in. It's so fascinating to speak with young people who don't have these preconceived notions and trying to speak to young people who haven't already been kind of, nudged
crushed
out
by
of
the capitalist machine.
Crushed by the capitalist machine, nudged out of the old computer room at school. That's when I went to school, there was a computer room and you walked in, you walked right back out again when you were a girl, who haven't had those experiences and start to think that this isn't for me or this isn't a space where I belong, and welcome them in and go, you absolutely belong here. You all belong here. We all belong here, and start to really establish that train of thought, because the rest of the world will definitely pile on with, gaming lobby talk of who belongs where. But
there's a lot of gatekeeping in a lot of different industries. I mean, if you're just saying the professional kind of workforce, but I think the idea of having anti-gatekeeping, where it's like no, we're keeping the gates open so that you can come in.
I'm a security risk. I'm holding the doors open. I'm standing there, it's beeping, and I'm going, guys, come in. And hey, if it's not for you, that's totally fine. You can walk right back out again, because the world needs all types in all kinds of roles. But at least now you were aware of it, and you just kind of closed yourself off to that path too early.
When talking about subjects, for some courses, like if you want to go and do a software engineering or software development course or some other things, sometimes they do require you to do certain, specialist maths or math methods or some other subject, right? That might be a prerequisite for that course. And so if you don't find out until you're trying to go to uni or you're already in year 12 and you're like, that door's kind of shut. Year 9 and 10 makes a lot of sense, trying to get in really, really early. But that's not to say that the only pathway to tech is through university or higher education. Some of the best engineers we have at SEEK, they self-taught. So like the barrier to entry for tech, I think, is getting lower and lower and lower every single day. So I suppose one thing our listeners probably don't know is, what do you and Leon do, Asha, as part of Camp SEEK? Like, what's your role?
I'll tell you how it started, because then maybe we can kind of tell what it sort of evolved into. I mean, that first year, we got a little tap on the shoulder. Camp SEEK was running. It was this amazing program. I think that year there was maybe 40 students. Yep. And, a little scrappier compared to what we have today, but still amazing. And they needed some hosts, basically, people who could open and close the day, tie the sessions together, just kind of be that consistent, MC kind of role, keep energy up. And, Leon and I are not afraid of a microphone, and we're kind of happy to do it. That was amazing. Since then, we formed a lot of opinions on the program, like a lot of product managers. How could this be improved in the way that, that comes when you love something and you can see the potential in it? Is this was amazing. Here are all the ways it could be even more amazing. And we got involved in the program itself. So what was the content? Who was speaking? How did we structure the days? That went on too long. That went on not long enough. The feedback was this. And that turned into, I guess, essentially developing the program and scaling it up to what became, 100 students. So I guess you could say that, I guess I'm hesitating then to sort of, give our role a name, but I guess a program lead or something. We're certainly not the individuals who are, heading the program, for whom it's their day job, but.
I mean, chief dad joke officer.
Yeah, and this is the positive male culture that we want to bring into Camp SEEK as well, like that dad joke. I'm rolling my eyes, I have to get my eyes checked after Camp SEEK.
If I can make fun of myself and kind of lighten the mood and make the students feel more comfortable, I've got no issues with that. But Asha, what you said is exactly spot on. You know, we initially came to host and MC the 4-day event. Asha and I, and we've talked about this before, are kind of the yin and yang in terms of our personality and what we bring to Camp SEEK. But we managed to kind of work incredibly well with each other. We respect each other, and we kind of ensure that the students are just having the safest, most enthusiastic, most energetic, and best program that's absolutely possible. So from an MC, and then as Asha mentioned, product managers have a good growth mindset and want to continue to evolve and are never kind of comfortable with the status quo. And so as we got involved with emceeing Camp SEEK, we identified that there were opportunities for us to continue to evolve and improve Camp SEEK to ensure that we can create this really great experience for students working through what is it that we actually want to, what is the outcome we want to drive for the students, and what are all the necessary programs, initiatives, steps, people we want to get involved to be able to drive that outcome. And yeah, now we develop the program, the 4-day program syllabus overall. We go and reach out to all the different people across the business in terms of product, design, research, engineering to get them involved. And then we kind of make sure that they know what they're doing, what's expected of them, what outcomes they're trying to drive. And then I think we touched on this before, but the end of day wrap where we kind of get together, and this is something that we do. You know, we try, like Asha was saying before, we try and replicate what we do in a day-to-day workplace. End of every day, we all come to the board. What went well? What didn't go well? What do we need to change? And we listen to the feedback from students. We listen to the feedback from volunteers, and we iterate on that and make sure that the next day is improved. And finally, this is a program that I think has a real potential to scale. You know, at the moment, it's only 100 students. Last year, we had to reject students because we filled the spots, and we're not in a position where we can scale it any further. But I think there's significant opportunities to grow this program broadly, both within Australia, but also to expose this program to our Asia markets that we have an offering in.
You put that so professionally. Where product managers would come in, we go, how can we optimize? How can we scale?
How can we grow?
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? I think what I do want to say is it really requires a retraining of your brain as well, running the Camp SEEK program, because you ask someone who works at SEEK, what's the best way to explain what we do and give a demonstration of how we work, and you put that together and then you put it in front of teenagers and their response will not be what you expect. And so it really requires... No one loves sitting in long meetings, long PowerPoint presentations. Like, that's a given. But if you think your tolerance is low, a teenager's is minute. And so really having to upskill ourselves and test and learn about what's the best way to communicate this in a way that someone who spends their days at school would learn, someone who is younger and less resigned to sitting quietly, listening and taking that on board. And so, that's been a big part of the program, is really shaking up, how can we communicate this in a way young people will understand, respond to and take something from? Because it is a voluntary program, and it amazes me that they come in every day. They come in the first day and they keep coming in, 4 days on their holidays to learn. And I think that's a real testament.
Some may be slightly pushed, nudged by their parents because, look, it's a free program.
Yep.
The kids get fed.
They get dropped
morning
off.
Morning tea, lunch, afternoon tea, incredible amount of snacks. They learn. Someone looks after them for 4 days during the holidays.
Yeah. But shout out.
I would sign my kids up for that every day of the week. They're not that old yet, but I mean, it's just like, what's that? 4 days of free daycare? Yes, absolutely.
I'd put mine to work in the mines. But
the children yearn for the mines.
The children yearn for the mines. Shout out to the teachers, those experts that Leon was talking about, engaging with the subject matter. So just going to put it out there. If what we're talking about is of interest to you, Camp SEEK, you've wanted to be involved and you're not sure how, if you have opinions on increasing diversity in the workforce and the kinds of roles that exist and how you can make them more inclusive, come and have a chat to us. When it comes to producing the program, the syllabus for Camp SEEK, we need all types, people who can help us develop the materials and the content. Like we have a lot, we have a good baseline now, but things change, and we want to make sure that what we have is the best it can be and reflects the current state. We also need people who can help teach that. So if that's not for you, but you just want to kind of weigh in on the materials, that's great. If you think you want to actually work hands-on with young people, come be a teacher. If you're interested in these sorts of things, definitely track me and Leon down for sure.
SEEK is traditionally, a very open, safe environment where you can kind of bring your whole self to the workplace.
We take it very seriously, the care for the young people who are in our care during that week of Camp SEEK. Many of the core volunteer group have had first aid training, physical first aid training and mental first aid training. We do a lot of personal professional development to make sure that we're able to look after these young people. Working with children checks are required for all volunteers. We have security in place. That area is locked down because...
It's like Fort Knox trying to get into the Camp SEEK area. If you don't have the required credentials to get in, you will be kicked out.
Exactly. So we take the safety of those students very, very seriously. So I know that we're talking very lightly here and we're here to have a good time, and that's definitely the atmosphere of it all. But just really want to stress the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes and the structure, the foundation underneath it is starting from a place of these children are in our care and we want them to have an amazing experience, but we are responsible for their safety, physical and mental well-being, and that's something we take very, very seriously. And I think that's if for anyone who's ever wanted to volunteer or been part of that and maybe been sort of shocked by, there's actually a bit of prep work that you need to do. It's not the kind of volunteer gig you can kind of swan in and out of, which is fine. There are other kind of roles like that at SEEK that you can have some fun with. That's not something that works the same at Camp SEEK. And I think for anyone who is running similar sorts of program with young people at other organisations and elsewhere, you'd know what this is like, that it's a serious thing. We take that really, really seriously.
Can I just do a special shout out to one person who has been kind of the bedrock of Camp SEEK and led a lot of the safety and ensuring the wellness of students and ensuring the wellness of the volunteers over the last 3 or 4 years. We like to refer to her as Mama Mareka. Mareka was our head of diversity and inclusion, and she left at the end of last year. But the level of safety and psychological safety, physical safety that she created for the students and volunteers and the focus that she had on that ensured that everyone was able to bring their whole self to Camp SEEK, was able to get the most out of Camp SEEK and create this incredible environment and experience for the students. And a lot of the success of Camp SEEK is very much down to her. So I just wanted to make sure we have a special shout out, because I'll make sure that this podcast is sent to her as well.
Thanks for saying that, Leon. Yeah, she's definitely been on my mind lately as we start to ramp up to plan for this year's Camp SEEK. So yeah, her absence is felt, but Camp SEEK is what it is today, I think, because of just her particular, fingerprint on it over the last couple of years. That's taken it to the level that it is today.
Absolutely, yeah. She is and remains fantastic. You mentioned that the students kind of come up with a hack. So, they put together a presentation or something. Do you have any kind of memorable ones that come to mind for like what your favorite hack was, or the hack that kind of impressed you the most or surprised you the most?
I'll be honest, it can be hard to remember the specifics of the hacks because it is such a whirlwind of a week. And particularly for Leon and myself, we're often ramping up to prepare to host that kind of hack kind of presentation and pitch at the end. But you see them develop over the week. So you get a rough sense. Some of the things that have stood out to me have been, there's one hack that stays on my mind because it had such great branding. So not a technical thing, but from a branding perspective. And do you guys remember the cat mental health one,
yes,
right?
Exactly the one that I was thinking of.
I'm like, I can't remember the name of it.
Something meow something.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It was right there in the name. It was the design, the sense of design was just nailed it. I know it sounds really simple, and you can kind of have some fun with some sort of slop style kind of designs, but this one it showed real kind of sense of design and branding and a cohesive view on their product that it stuck with me. And it stuck with me, I think, years later. I think that was actually a few years ago now. You know, there have been other really technically impressive hacks for sure, you know, things that have been built out in ways that oh my gosh, how did you do that in a day? This is so deeply intimidating. I'm not even sure we taught you any of this. Did you just come in here with this? You know, there's hacks where students are so focused on problems that you would think would be maybe beyond their years, you know, not just big world problems, how to eliminate waste or solve mental health issues, but also financial planning.
Yeah.
You know, financial planning. 14-year-olds thinking about superannuation. Have you ever been interviewed by a 14-year-old about superannuation?
Can't say that I have, but I imagine it would kind of turn your head a little bit.
Yeah, those are the kinds of the ones that stick with me, that ones where it's wow, there's a talent there and there's something beyond their years. I mean, beyond their years is probably the wrong thing to say then. It shows that I had a preconceived notion about the kind of standard of work that they'd be able to produce, considering the conditions that might be a bit feel chaotic. Those are the things that kind of stick with me, is they always manage to kind of take your breath away momentarily when they show you something or ask you a question. You go, whoa, you were there? You're there now? Where are you going to end up?
The students these days are they're exposed to so much more than when we were growing up. Unfortunately, they're not exposed to a career in tech as much, but hopefully, you know, CamSeek is looking to solve that, at least for 100 students per year. But the fact that they're exposed to so many things and they start to get a sense of what's right and what's wrong and where challenges lie. And so I guess CamSeek enables them to kind of start to figure out, this seems like a problem that I'm passionate about that's worth solving. And we give them the tools and the processes to go and do that. And so I agree, this, you know, some of the mental health ones, the financial literacy one, there was one around politics. I can't exactly remember.
The politics one, yes. I think that was just last year.
Yes.
I thought that was really cool, yeah.
You know, just things that I, as a 14 or 15-year-old, would never be thinking about. I just want to touch on maybe not a hack, but just the moments that I find really, really amazing from CamSeek. As we mentioned before, you know, the students come in, some of them know someone, some of them don't know anyone at the start of the 4 days. By the third day, the energy in the room is palpable. We try and kind of stop the students and say, hey, we've got this next thing. They're like, just be quiet. Let us just work on our thing. Let us just do our thing. And there is this natural evolution of the students kind of working through problems. Everyone's assigned to a task. Everyone's working on their bit. And then day 4, when we have, I think we didn't mention this at the start, but day 4, the morning they've got the time to prepare their stalls, their presentations. Then we open up the doors and seekers come through, and we basically have like a market or a marketplace where each team has got a booth, a TV, and they can present their hack to seekers, explain what the problem they were working on, explain how they identified that this was the biggest problem they wanted to solve, how they came up with a solution, how they built the solution and a working prototype of it. It's really amazing because then they're starting to pitch to the students. But the thing that I find truly amazing is when they get up on stage, and we mentioned this before, they get up on stage in front of 100, 200 people, of some that they know, some that they don't know, and the way that they capture the audience's attention. Some of these students, when they pitch, are like, I look at Asha and I'm like, future CEO over there. That's a future CEO. She's got him. She's got the audience hooked. And so for me, those moments when, you know, they've come in and it's like you can hear a pin drop on day 1 to day 4 when they're just presenting, booming their voices, presenting with confidence and outlining their hack to a stunned group of family and friends and seekers, that for me is just memorable and really rewarding as someone that's deeply involved in the program.
I can imagine it being kind of pretty mind-boggling as a parent Because if you drop the kids off on Monday morning and, you know, they didn't want to go or they're feeling really nervous and shy, and then you're like, cool, I don't see them again until the Thursday afternoon. And then you're sitting down and they're like the lead presenter and they're smashing it. I can imagine as a parent just being like, who is this child? Like, what is going on? What did you do to them? Like, this is amazing.
And that's a big part as well, right? Their parents, their family comes in and sees maybe a side of their child that they hadn't had an opportunity to see. I mean, how often do you go in and see your kid present like school presentations or see at this level? And it's an opportunity for those parents as well to understand what kinds of career opportunities are available for their child. And it isn't always just about picking subjects. It's about having a parent understand that, oh, okay, other programs like this might be of interest to you. We can lean into this. Maybe we can find other people for you to talk to, places for you to volunteer or intern. Like, it just starts to plant that seed as well with their parents to know that, okay, well, this is something that maybe we can help you out with. We can invest in. Maybe I'll start to try to educate myself about what opportunities could be available for you as well. So that's a really powerful thing.
I think it does a pretty good job. CamSeek, I think now does a pretty good job of selling SEEK to these students and maybe even these parents. I mean, they come in, we've got an incredible office, they've got snacks, we've got, beautiful outside areas, we've got, beautiful balconies overlooking the city, ice cream. We do an ice cream run. One of the days we do a slushy run on one of the days.
What's not to love about everything?
They're like, hold
hearing?
on. It's not just sitting at an office and, typing on your computer and then going home. It's like there's a whole, and you get to work with like really cool, fun people.
It's a pretty good motivator. We'll make you want to, okay, well, maybe I will do that homework. Maybe I will go to that additional program. Maybe I will choose the subjects that maybe are a little bit harder and challenge me because this looks like pretty good conditions to work in, which is also, something that appeals.
In terms of the best hack, every year we try and change what the problem that the students are trying to solve. And 3 or 4 years ago, I think the problem was more around the job marketplace. We're like, well, let's keep it, within our domain, what we know. And one of the hacks was the students were like, it's hard for us to find a job because if I come to SEEK or if I come to one of our competitors I won't name, I just have to search by the job title and maybe where it is and it maybe part-time. But even then, it doesn't really align to what my needs are as a student. And so there was a hack where they were like, I want to be able to search within a particular radius to work outside of school hours and so forth. And it was a terrific hack of how they could implement that into SEEK. So good that during our SEEK Hack Week, these students came and presented their hack to our panel of the hack judges. So we got the CamSeek students back into our office and they presented to incredible feedback as well. So for me, that was a really memorable experience.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
That was an incredible Shark Tank. I think I was volunteering that one as well. And I was standing outside and I was like, gosh, you guys look familiar and very young. And you guys, you're back. You've. Obviously, we get a lot of interest from these students wanting to join our grad program or get work experience and internships and things like that. But even just to kind of shortcut that and say, your idea was, you kind of nailed it. You'd cut through, and maybe to our earlier discussion points around like the pathways to tech and choosing the right subjects and degrees, and maybe that's increasingly less important than simply just doing it. Yeah. That night, go home and do something, or on your weekend or on your holidays, find a couple friends and build something, explore something, research something. And you can, there's a lot that these young people can be doing now or be doing without necessarily following traditional education pathways. And that's a good example where they had a hack idea. it was so,
well received. They were like, let's get them back. There's something there.
They had a point, Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Leon and Asha, thank you so much for joining us. The most important bit of the podcast is, what's our best or worst dad/mum joke?
Mate, I'm not a funny person.
Isn't that kind of like a requirement?
I used to hate facial hair.
Go on.
Then it grew on me. And I'll give you one more. I only know 25 letters in the alphabet. I just don't know why.
Yeah.
See, that's the kind of laugh that I
That's great.
expect, and that's what I want. That's all I
great.
want.
See you next time.